We've asked multiple times on the TNC podcast this season. We couldn't, could we? We now have the answer. We couldn't. Good to see you, mate. Good weekend?
Well, yeah, I guess it's lighter, brighter, sunny.
Yeah, sun's out.
Yeah, but my God.
Where do we start, mate?
I mean...
Where do we start?
Well, I'll tell you where we start, Jack. Plymouth are bottom of the league.
Yeah.
They are the pasty boys. They have conceded the most goals in the league. They haven't won a game in, is it 6 or 8? I think it
was 8, yeah.
8
one win in 8. It was
one win in 8 games.
Yeah, 2 wins in 9, right?
And we conceded 2 goals in, I think it was 6 minutes. And it was another defensive disaster class. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, Jack, but yeah, it was another story of our season.
There was a great stat. I mean, let's just get into let's really sadden ourselves straight off the bat. There was a stat, I think you retweeted it from NCFC Numbers, that basically said when Norwich City have gone behind away from home, like the last 25 times we've won 0.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself, okay, so we've got a real issue here, because when we go behind, we don't win, and when we go ahead, we don't win. So when do we win? We don't. Look, we sat here after West Brom and we were giddy and we were chuffed because we'd won and it felt nice.
Well, you've got to enjoy the wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to enjoy the wins.
But I was looking through the next few fixtures and you were like, win, maybe draw, maybe we won't beat Burnley. But even that Plymouth game, which I know on paper, Norwich City should be going there and winning, right? Mm-hmm. But we know that it's not on paper. And I was looking at that and going, I don't think we win. Because it's away from home against a team that are battling it out and they're going to be solid and they're just going to set up and try and do the simple things correct. Yeah. Like Oxford away at the start of the season.
Yes.
We've not learned anything from that season. I mean, we cannot go up against teams that are well drilled, will sit deep away from home. We really struggle with that.
Plymouth aren't well drilled.
I think they did the basics pretty well, or at least compared to us, they did.
But you have to bear in mind, Jack, I think we had something like I think it was maybe 76 or 78% possession. Yet we didn't. I think we only created one big chance that they're classifying, which was obviously our goal. I mean, fantastic strike from Sargent there. But hey, look.
Well, let me just if you want to go down the stats route, let me just give you a
well, I don't want.
I mean, this I think epitomises just how pointless our possession was. Yeah. Like with 75% of the ball, that's got to be right up there in terms of our kind of season high. We only had one more shot than them, considering. We had 442 accurate passes. Right. They had 99. We had more than 4 times the amount of passes, and yet still...
Stinking, innit?
We didn't really create anything.
I just want to go back to I want to rewind. I want to go back to your point about how, we're throwing games away. We have thrown games away all season, right? And the reason why, and it's laid bare now for all to see, there is no denying it, okay, that this side stinks of one where most of the players know one of 3 or 4 things. Their road has run at Norwich City. They think they're better than Norwich City. They know that they're going to get a move away from Norwich City, or they're not ready for Norwich City. And that concoction of those 4 key things means we've got a soft underbelly, the mentality, the fight, the desire, the belief, and hey, also the aspiration, the togetherness is simply not there. And I want to be optimistic. Hey, I really want to be optimistic. I want to be positive. But unfortunately, I've been completely drained of that because of what we've had to endure time after time this season. And the really disappointing thing, Jack, and the first talking point of this podcast, actually, I've put down there, is that really posing the question to the Norwich City community, how do we go into these last few games tactically? Because it was another defensive disaster class away at Plymouth, Argyle, which I can't believe I've just said that out loud, but I have. They will be a League One team next season. Defensive disaster class. Do we do what we did against West Brom? Because, hey, that was a good win. It was boring, it was stodgy, it wasn't nice, but we got it done. And what did we do, Jack? We had a defensive structure about us. Yeah, we sucked up the pressure, and then we relied on a bit of individual talent, an individual moment, which it was. Nunes and Sargent. And it was the same under David Wagner, by the way. Let's make that really abundantly clear. It was a Johnny Rowe, a Gabriel Sara, maybe a Sargent as well, wasn't it, right? I don't know why I'm clicking, but I am.
Yeah, no, I like it.
You know, my question is to you and to our community, do we go defensive and just try, or do we go, actually, do you know what, Chris, it doesn't really matter anymore, so I'd rather see attacking football, but we might lose games?
So I'm going to come at this in a slightly roundabout way, but stay with me. So first of all, I want to say, I think there were 1,000 Norwich City fans there.
Oh.
Fair fucking play. Could I be bothered? No.
Well done,
and I'll get on to that. Fair play. I think the official Norwich City coach is left at 4 a.m. Yeah. Most people would have probably taken a day off work and gone up on the Friday. It is a long way to Plymouth.
XP of the week, no player, no coach, the fans.
Yeah, and like
unbelievable support.
Absolute hat tip, because I certainly didn't want to do the trip, and I didn't do the trip. So those that went, and actually, look, you know, I suspect going along the sort of Plymouth waterfront and maybe having a nice bit of food before the game was certainly the highlight. So I wanted to make that abundantly clear. So Saturday, I went to
Cool, you are going around the houses here.
I am. I went to Great Yarmouth Town.
Oh, sorry
right?
to hear that.
I wanted to watch football,
and
I wanted to do non-league, and Yarmouth, my local non-league club, so I went there. And it was a big attendance. Largely, I saw loads of Norwich fans that we see at Carrow Road, and we were chatting about Norwich, and it was really concerning for me, because the opinion and the sentiment from all the Norwich fans were like, don't really care. And we were seeing the score coming through on our phone, and it was like, you know,
expected. Almost.
I wasn't angry, and that really concerns me when I get.
Yeah.
I should be absolutely fuming that Norwich City haven't.
So you're in the apathy zone.
I'm in apathy, it's not just me. All those fans who would usually be, finding a dodgy stream or in the pub with their mates talking about Norwich, they're disconnected from it, and they're at their local non-league ground, right, watching Yarmouth Town.
Yeah.
So that's a concern.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
The reason last week's win I thought was so important is because, look, there's a lot of pressure going into next season, and it's, there's a lot of work to be done. But the end of this season is important, because you can't be freewheeling into the summer. You have to have fans on board. You have to have players on board. Yeah. Everyone needs to be on board.
And your league position is important to attract players, because if you're nowhere near the playoffs, a player's going to look at you and go, well, if you're not challenging, then I'm not going to join.
So it's really important, because this project simply doesn't work without the backing of everyone. We knew that this was going to be a tough transition, and we knew that this was going to take time. That requires backing. And I think for the vast majority of this season, that has been there. I'm concerned that is starting to wean. I'm seeing an ever-growing section of fans, and actually...
Yes, I agree.
Difficult to argue, like, who are just going... I don't know, Jack. Like, you can keep going. It's going to work. Chris, I was at the Kassam. You were at the Kassam. Opening day of the season.
That was my first Canary Call,
This performance was exactly the same as that, and that was a long while ago now. We are making the same mistakes week in, week out.
Well, all season long,
and that's a concern. Because actually, sorry.
That's fine.
Last point. Like, how can I sit on camera and go, I think it's all going to come good over the summer. I think we're going to be fine next season. I don't have any justification to back that point up.
And I understand where you're at, because it's blind faith. Yes. It's blind hope. It's blind optimism. It's self-talk. We're trying to talk it into existence because we want to be optimistic and positive. And I saw someone on X posted this, actually. Sorry to forget your name. But they said, but actually the reality is, there is no evidence. There's no evidence to see it's going to work next season. So it's incredibly concerning, and it shows just how important it is that we get wins from now until the end of the season. And I tell you what, Jack, I'm looking down this fixture list here, Sonny Jim. Sunderland at home. Oof, they've got something to fight for. Burnley away, guaranteed loss. Pompey at home.
Informed team in the league.
Oosh. Don't like the look of that. Millwall away. Oh, great. We get beaten up at the Den. Lovely stuff. Middlesbrough away. Well, we've all seen what's happened there in recent seasons. And then at home against Cardiff, where, let's be honest, no one's going to give a fuck. So it is a big concern now.
In which case, you're saying we're not going to win again this season.
Do you know, I just want to reverse back again to your point, Jack, about the fans away at Plymouth. Totally with you as well.
And just, I think we need to put context around how long this trip is. If you're not from Norfolk, it is so far away.
It's 5 hours 49 minutes there, and 5 hours 49 minutes
back. And that's without traffic and getting out of fucking Norfolk and A47, 40 mile an hour limit, and every roundabout in Norwich having fucking roadworks.
And having a shit 2 times because you need to.
Yeah.
Because you're so worried about losing to Plymouth. And on the way back.
So I think it's 350 miles. It's a long way.
There's something that I want to bring up. Again, this leaks into the whole fan feeling, where the players are at, etc. I'm really worried about the way that the players and fans interacted. And you mentioned Oxford. It was the same Oxford. And actually, I'd say it was worse at the weekend against Plymouth, where there's fractured stuff going on. The fans are giving abuse to the players. Some of the players themselves, there was scowls, there were heads down, and most of them were straight down the tunnel. And I think it's really important. And I know that the players and some of the staff watch this. Guys, if you play like shit, it doesn't matter. You stand there, you look at those fans in the eye, and you clap them, and you appreciate them. And people might be listening to watching this now, going, "Oh, what does that matter? That doesn't matter, Chris. You just took what? No. It does matter. It does matter. I agree. Okay, you play like shit. Those 1,100 fans have travelled all that way to Plymouth, and you're head down the tunnel. How dare you? That's not good, right? So that's really, and that kind of sums up. I don't know the feeling, where the culture's at, where the players are at, and it goes back to my point. Those players, some of them think they're better. Some of them are already, they've got interest, or they've perhaps even got moves lined up, right? Some of them know they're not good enough, and their roads run at Norwich City Football Club, and that's the result. So look, it is concerning, but something that's not concerning is something. Let's come on, Jack. Let's be positive now. I do want to talk about something positive.
Okay.
And he goes by the name of Jacob Wright.
Okay. I thought you were going somewhere else.
I'm excited about Jacob Wright. A very good second half performance, and looked at him and thought, he's the real deal, actually. And I think he's going to develop into a very exciting player. Of course, at the moment, we don't definitively know that he's going to be a Norwich City player next season. But my question to you is, Jack, do you want him to be a Norwich City player next season?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he will be. I think, Wright is in a bucket of kind of players that does give me hope for next season. I look at Wright. I don't know why we've suddenly stopped giving Oscar Schwartau minutes. I think he's the real deal.
Strange that,
You've got Lucien Mahava. You've obviously got Kellen Fisher, who you just assume is a seasoned professional now. I still think there's a player in Ante Cianats.
Yeah.
Jose Cordova makes me want to sort of headbutt a wall at points, but I think there's a player in there. He just has a complete momentary lapses of concentration, but he excites me too.
Yes.
So I think you do have a core of exciting young players to build around. And then hopefully,
I'm waiting for the but.
No, there's not a butt coming. This is Jacob Wright goes into a bucket of players that I'm fairly excited about.
Fine.
I like Wright, and I think, he is. Look, is he the perfect player? No, he's not. But I think
no player's the perfect player.
That midfield. Look, it has concerned me at times.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Anis Ben Slimane, I saw a player in there. I was so excited about him earlier on in the season. I thought he looked the real deal. He's just gone a bit meh recently. A lot of his performances.
I'm concerned. Well, you said he would be the player of the season.
I did. Emi Marcondes, I think, drifts in and out of games too much to be a.
I'm surprised.
He's got a brilliant pass in him, but you need a bit of buzz about you.
I think he's the least of our worries. He's contributed loads. But anyway.
But I'm saying, if you want a solid, you look at that the 2 seasons we went up as champions. That midfield was buzzy. It was an Ollie Skip, or it was
and that's Jacob Wright.
I think he's got the potential. I think it was Connor Southwell said that Jacob Wright almost reminded him of an early Moritz Leitner.
Oh, okay.
Which I
didn't
quite
hear
liked.
Connor say that. Okay,
I think it was Connor that said that. If not, someone said it, and I'll take it off as my own. Look, that midfield is ultimately held together completely by Marcelino Nunez, and
he's off.
That really concerns.
He's off.
That really concerns me, because
he's off.
The midfield is the spine of every team, and I think without him, we are so far off it in that department.
They're going to and again, the Yanks, Atanasio's, that they watch, they tune into Talk Norwich City. That's why they agreed to podcast with us somehow. Guys, we need your help. I'll be honest. We need some help. We really need some help because there's going to be a lot of players leave. And actually, to be honest with you, we need a lot of players to leave.
On a quick Atanasio link.
Oh, come on.
I was in the pub the other night and I don't know.
Shock. Whoa. Drinking some
I was actually. I had a pint of Encore.
20% off. I tell you what, fans will be taking advantage of that at the moment.
I had a meeting with Lakens in the week.
Yeah. What were they saying?
When I say exciting plans in terms of what they're up to, oh my God, off the charts.
Anyway, sorry, get to the point.
And anyway, I was in the pub, I was having a beer, I was having a lovely time, and I looked up and there was baseball on the telly, right? And it was Milwaukee.
Oh.
Shittest sport of all time.
Oh.
It is a truly horrendous
No,
watch. It's so bad.
Jack, I need to stop here. Right, what did you say 2 minutes ago? Spend some money.
Yeah, no.
Don't offend them. We need them to spend some money.
Stop spending money on baseball and start spending it on a proper sport.
Right, next talking point. Next talking point, Jack, is I want to ask you, and of course the audience, which players could we lose this summer?
Probably all of them.
Which is really interesting, isn't it? Because of all the points I've made already.
Should we do this quick fire, stay or go?
Sure. Okay.
In terms of, hang on, how do you want to play this?
No, so it's could we lose them? Okay, so we'll start.
As in, do I want to lose them or will...
No, do you think we could lose them? As in,
fine.
they could go for whatever reason.
Okay.
So that could be being bought, it could be being sold, pushed out the door, their roads run at Norwich City.
Fine. Okay.
Could we lose them? Okay. Because this is really going to highlight the point of we need to do a lot of business. Napa's going to be a busy boy, trust me. Okay, George Long is staying.
Yeah.
Because he signed a new contract. Angus Gunn, could lose him.
Oh, could. I mean, he's gone, isn't he?
Well, we don't definitively know that, but yeah, could lose. Vicente Reyes.
He'll be about.
Yeah. Daniel Barden, Big Bag Barden.
Yeah. Stick him in goal.
Could lose him though. Shane Duffy, absolutely could lose him.
Yeah, what do you think the situation with Duffy is? Look, he's not the future, is he? But who's going to buy him on his wages?
Exactly. But, is he one of those players that will he be looking out and about for moves? Maybe. So could lose. Jack Stacey could lose because Kellen's taken his position in the team. So we could lose Jack Stacey. Crescene, we'll keep Crescene.
I don't know if Johannes rates him.
I know, but
he'll be here.
Yeah,
but I don't think Johannes rates him.
Right, answer the bloody question.
Sorry.
Callum Doyle, done, gone. We know that from the press. We're not going to sign him.
It's an interesting one with Doyle. I don't think the price is going to be right to buy him. So the only other option is will he get loaned back again? And I can't see Man City doing it now. Well,
Jose Cordoba, he stays.
Let me just quickly back on Doyle. Sorry, I know we want to do this quick. If the opportunity came to loan him in again, would you take that?
Yeah, I would.
I think
I would. I think he's a really, really good player, actually. Of course, look,
he's a centre back.
Hey, look, at times this season, like all the players, they've had games where they've struggled. But for me, Callum Doyle, top player. But he's not going to be at Norwich City next season. Rory.
Future captain. He's got to start next season. He's mustard.
Okay, and Jose Cordoba, he stays too.
Yeah.
Kellen Fisher, he stays too.
Well, we fucking hope
Forsyth, he's gonna stay. Shame about his injury. Kenny McLean, could we lose him?
Just quickly on Gabe Forsyth, right? Yeah. How has Gabe Forsyth and a Mankwa Forson, I was at the Brighton game when Force went off. It was a knock. They said he's going to be out for 10 days.
I don't know.
He's been out for 9 weeks.
Jack,
what are they doing?
I don't know.
Gabe Forsyth, he was going to be out for a month, 6 weeks.
I don't know.
He's been out for 7 months.
I wish I could.
And now they've operated on him. Shambles.
Shambles. Okay. The thing I would say is, right, so we don't know the answers to this question. We're not qualified, okay?
Mate, we've not been qualified on anything, and that's never stopped us.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. But the team that people are putting a lot of pressure on, they've not changed in 5 years, right? Okay, so we've always had this team when it comes to all of the sports side of things, right? So I think it's been unlucky. I do. But at the same time, I'm not qualified to say what the hell's going on regarding lengths of time. Back to Kenny, could we lose him? Yeah, I think we could lose him.
Yeah.
Because what's he got, a year left?
I mean, it will be interesting. What does Kenny want out of his kind of future? I think he'll probably be looking at this Norwich setup now and maybe going, I think I've done all I can.
Is it? Yeah. And again, the question is, could we lose him? Marcondes, I think we could lose him.
I think he'll stay about.
Okay. Well, he needs to be given a contract, Jack. So could we lose him?
I think he'll be given a new contract.
Okay.
And I would give him a new contract.
Yeah, me too, by the way. Jakob Sorensen.
This is interesting. I was chatting to a few...
I'll ask the question, not answer
I was chatting to a few people at the Wellesley the other day, and Sorensen seemed to be the topic of conversation. I have a gut feeling, and this isn't through any knowledge or anything, I think he'll be offered a new deal. I do.
Okay.
But if he isn't, then I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I won't answer it today. I just don't have the energy for it. Anis Ben Slimane, he'll be about.
Well, he'll be about
because we signed him permanently. So let's move on.
I'll look you down the barrel on this one. Need to see better performances from you.
Liam Gibbs is one of us. Liam Gibbs is one of us.
Stick him in the Amankwa Force and Gabe Forsyth. How was that being managed so badly?
Will they try to sell him? He'll be here. Okay. I don't know. Nunes, could definitely lose him. Force and Amankwa, he'll be here.
Probably injured still.
Jacob Wright, well, hey, look, it's not guaranteed. Could he try and get an option somewhere else?
I think we'll sign him.
Yeah, well, I do, and I hope he does. And El Hernandez could lose him.
Well, we'll lose him,
and I think we will lose him. Josh Sargent,
gone, and that pains me.
Prepare yourself, and
it really pains me, that one, because I think with I'm trying to think back to Buendia, Pookie. Yeah. Madison, all of those players, real gut punch. But we've been on a journey with Sarge. First he was shite, now he's dynamite or whatever the song is.
Yes, correct.
We've been on a journey with Sarge, and he has developed into not only the best striker in the Championship, but the best striker in the Championship by a long, long way. I'm so gutted that result ended in the way, because that goal was seriously tight.
So good, yeah. On that
the take,
push. Yeah, super.
He's the
great
real deal.
Cross from Kellen Fisher, by the way. Who, by the way, there's no surprise, he gets moved to his natural position. First thing he does, crosses the ball in.
It was a great goal. Sarge will be gone.
Off.
Now it's about getting the right price.
Borja Sainz, could we lose him?
Gone.
Absolutely.
Gone.
Lewis Dobbin, is he going to be attracted to this project? I'm assuming we'll try
Dobbin
to
will
sign
stay.
him.
Dobbin will stay.
What do you mean we'll stay? Well, he's not our player.
Well, we'll keep him, and he'll probably be injured for the whole of next season.
You need to cheer up. Tony Springett. Remember him?
Is he still on the books?
Could we lose him? Yes,
I honestly thought we'd lost him about 4 years ago.
Mate Jurasek, he'll be here, of course.
Oh, I need to have a rant about him later.
Well, what do you mean a rant?
He's never fit.
No, but well,
mate, he came back for 20 minutes and now he's injured again.
Yeah, I'm standing strong that Mate Jurasek is going to be a really good player for Norwich City.
No, I'm sure he will be when he's fit. Okay. How is he constantly injured? Surely we knew about this. Something's gone amiss there, mate.
I don't know the answer. Ante Snats, he'll be here, although, of course, Dortmund were sniffing around. And Oscar Schwartau, he'll be here. So essentially, Jack, the point is...
That's depressing.
No, hey. No, this is my point, right? Go through that list. We could comfortably lose the majority of our squad, but hey, maybe that's a good thing. Right, Jack, it is time.
I thought you said that segment was going to cheer us up.
Jack, it's time for the rants, raves, statements, questions. But before we do that, I want to get in here and say, if you've watched to the podcast up until this point, first of all, well bloody done, because it's seriously depressing. Second of all, we want to see your hashtags all over social media. Prove it. This week, it's, ready for it? On the Beach City. Nice. Okay? On the Beach City. Nice. We want to see it on X. We want to see it on Instagram. If you post our post on X, if you share it on Instagram, use hashtag on the Beach City. We'll share all of them as a thanks.
And please tag us personally, because my favourite thing on a Monday evening is to see all these hashtags coming through, and it takes me a little while because I forget that we've said to do that, and I'm like,
on the Beach City.
On
the Beach City. Okay, Jack, ready for the first post?
No, not really.
Okay, well, it's up from Toby.
Hello, Toby.
Who goes by the name of @SexySchwartau.
Hey, you wrote Toby.
Now, this is an interesting one for Toby. He says, I think people need to stop being so reactionary, talking to the wrong channel here, and wait till next season to have a fair judgment on JHT when he has a full season and a squad that he wants.
Toby, I agree, and I wish I was feeling this rational.
Okay.
I think when the dust settles on, this is going to be a tough week because the dust hasn't settled, and then it's Sunderland at home. So look, it
then
might
Burnley
snap
away.
it might snap us out of this mood, or it might just worsen it. So
we've got to win. We have to win on Tuesday, because if not, it's going to be.
Thankfully, I'm on holiday, so I won't be there. So either way,
Right, anyway, come on.
I agree. I do agree. And look, I'm still fully behind this project, and I think it will come good. I think that let's flip this slightly and go, okay, what's the alternative? Like, let's say we sacked Johannes and we got rid of Napa. Then what? Who do you bring in? I know that's always the question.
Yeah.
I don't know, someone might say Russell Martin or something. Like, I don't think the alternative here would be any different in the short term.
With the current squad that we've got.
Well, that's the main issue, right? We've got a squad that's not fit for purpose. And that's partly Johannes' fault, that's partly Wagner's fault, that's partly Dean's, but it's 5-6 years of just incremental failings. And we've got to a point where we need wholesale changes, and that does take time.
Root and branch.
I think, look, I'm still behind it, but Toby, we're football fans. If I just spent 200 quid and spent a day and a half going to Plymouth, am I at full time going, oh, chill out, guys, it'll all be good? No, I'll be absolutely fuming. So it's tough.
Let me throw something extra to you on this, Jack. Okay. Let's just hypothetically say, what if we don't win a single game from now until the end of the season? Are you still staying patient?
Well,
about the project?
Realistically, nothing changes. We're not going up. We're not going down. So whatever from now until the end of the season, we're going to be in the championship. No.
It's interesting.
I think it will be. I think there'll be far less patience, and I think that's a concern, because I don't think even next season it's going to be hit the ground running from game one. I think it takes time.
But it has to be. No. And I've got to interrupt you. No. I'm not having that bollocks. I'm stamping on that. No. Next season, we need it. Come on, it needs to click.
Yeah.
You've had a whole season of learning, of developing youngsters and all that stuff. We need results at the start of next season now. And this is the dangerous thing, Jack, because patience this season is wearing thin, but pressure is mounting up with every game. So look, I think, Toby, it's a really, really interesting point. I agree with Jack. I'm willing to stay patient, but I want to see, after the first few weeks of the new season, I want to see this project click into place, and I need to see progress. Ready for the next one, Jack?
No.
Okay. The next one is from Stan.
Hello, Stan.
A Blue Horizon _ his statement. We can only sign one loanee on a permanent at the end of the season. It needs to be Jacob Wright. Hull of applause.
Yeah, I like Jacob Wright. Look, he's had a serious education. You can tell that. I think he's the type of player that we need to build this squad around. Young, hungry, he gets stuck in. I think Jacob Wright's a pretty good example of staying relatively patient. His first few performances weren't kind of world class, but he's growing into it. I think with all of these players, whether it's Wright or Schwartau or Sienats, I think there will be, when some of these more, legacy players move on, going on very corporate there, sorry. When often players can step up and they feel a sense of responsibility, and Sienats might be playing in the 9 and he's going to be the main man.
Yeah.
I think that will help.
Okay. Do you think Jacob Wright was signed to replace Kenny McLean?
Yes.
McLean's successor? You see him in that role next season?
Yeah, I do. And
it's an interesting one.
It's a big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
Massive
and,
shoes. Massive.
Let's say Kenny does move on in the summer.
Or maybe Nunes, actually.
Well, maybe. Let's look at this midfield three. So the whole midfield, when it's gone well, has been built around McLean and Nunes. Well, they could both be off. That's the part of the pitch that really worries me, because I don't think you can build that in a summer.
What's next?
Chris, sorry about the name, Chris. Chris Omerod says, question, with ticket prices being so high, best players being sold and replaced by unseasoned cheaper recruits, is it possible still to sell the idea of a project and keep the fans happy? I think the club have overestimated the patience most fans will have for these naive performances. I think it's a point we raise every season, and we're the mugs because we renew it, and it's a non-negotiable that we keep our season tickets, because it's not a debate. They're too expensive. They are so expensive. I was, you often see other clubs, don't you, tweeting, and Norwich have the ability to charge what they want because they know they're going to sell it out. Mm-hmm. I think I saw Bristol City, the season ticket was 270 quid.
Wow,
Ours
really?
is over double that.
It's good value.
It's
Bristol City.
It's
Don't
expensive.
get me wrong, you have to watch Bristol City, but still.
Mate, they're above us. They're above us. They beat us twice this season.
Yeah, fair.
For half the price.
Right. Yeah,
I think ticket prices are too steep. Look, that's another discussion. That's not going to change anytime soon. And actually, the warning signs, don't be shocked if these get very expensive under the Americans.
Oh, really?
Mate, look at American ticket price. Don't be shocked if that happens.
I think, though, what's really interesting, I mean, go back to my previous point, Jack. Patience is wearing thinner with every passing game towards the end of the season, and pressure is mounting up with every game until the end of the season, right? And it doesn't help that we've got one of the most expensive season tickets in the league. And if you are paying for a premium product, if you're paying a premium price, and you're not getting a premium product, that is going to create more of, rightly or wrongly, an expectancy. Hey, look, the one thing that we should say is, we're all taking a calculated gamble with football, right? We go to be entertained, and that almost, we like that jeopardy. We obviously hate to lose, but we like the fact that we could, because that's what you get excited for, right? It's all on the line. But at the same time, premium price, not a premium product, it is going to create some resentment.
I think the other point that Chris raises there is,
come on,
senior players being sold. It was Sarah and Rowe and probably not Ida in that list, but the two best players of last season were sold.
Yes,
if you
that's
exclude
true.
Josh Sargent, and they've been replaced with
players that have been injured or not good enough.
Who actually, I think there's a slight anomaly here. Let's go back to the player I mentioned earlier, Mate Jurisic. Now, this isn't a pop at Mate Jurisic. He was a marquee signing. He was expensive for the Championship.
January,
We've seen about 40 minutes of him.
Yeah.
So you can understand, Chris, why fans are going,
what's going on?
What?
Yeah, no.
And I know that they have said that he's a project for next season.
Yes.
What is he? Something just going to become fit over the summer?
Well, hang on.
I don't think it works like that. Ricky Martin sat here. Ricky Martin sat here. By the way, he's got a job now, which is great.
Yeah. Well done, Ricky.
Maybe they watch the TNC podcast. Well, this guy knows what he's talking about. You can't get a player up to speed by not playing him. You're not going to come up to speed in the fucking soccer bot, right? Or Matty, they might have been planting the carrots
when things are going wrong at Norwich City when the soccer bot gets mentioned.
But you're not going to get a player up to speed if he's not playing football.
Look, what I would say is I'll be honest with you, I've been a little bit, I know why people are concerned. I get your point. I have also been a bit surprised that people haven't maybe clocked on or realised or just read that the reason why we signed Mate Jurisic in January is because we would not have been able to sign him in the summer because he would have been off to a, let's be honest, bigger, better football club than us, right? So,
but how do we know that? Because he's not barely played football.
Personally, I trust my sources on that. I believe them. I think they're right. And I think that we need to have some more patience around a player that we've barely seen yet. He's the least of our worries. Jack, question. How are you feeling? You all right?
How am I feeling? Stressed, down.
Well, you know what that means. Right, question
I wish I could have one of those.
Right, question from Jake. NCFC Jake says, who do you think is to blame for the... Oh, see, I hate this already.
No, go on, let's get stuck in.
Who do you think is to blame for the season going as bad as it is? Surely not all down to injuries, and Thurup has to take some blame. Look, it's a really interesting point, Jake. I think it is fair game now to a certain degree. I think there's been times this season, I think large stretches of this season where actually you could blame injuries. That is my honest opinion. I think we've had we've had 3, I think, big injury, genuine crises, right? Where we've missed lots of players. It's been a nightmare,
and
right?
For sustained periods.
But there have, of course, been moments where we've gone, that's interesting, Johannes. Why have you done that there, Johannes? And it's not quite panned out, right? I think we forget that Johannes is an up and coming coach, right? He's not, a seasoned veteran, so he has been learning on the job as well. So I think you could also, like you've said, Jake. What about the recruitment as well? Because we've signed players that have clearly been more susceptible to injuries, or we've signed them with injuries, which is always interesting. Although, to contradict that, we signed Gabriel Sarah with an injury, right? So, look, I don't want to get into the blame, it's his fault, and it's him, right? I think collectively, across the board, apart from the supporters, it's not been good enough.
I think the thing that it's been really frustrating for me this season is, the mentality feels all wrong.
Yes.
It feels all wrong.
Yes.
It feels, we don't know how to hold on to leads. We just collapse under pressure.
Yes.
We can't come from behind. We went 2-0 down against Plymouth, and it was like, well, that's done.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that because Plymouth are going, oh God, we've got to defend against Sargent and Science, and we really need this win. The pressure should be piled on them. The pressure was all on them yesterday. We could have free rolled into that one, and that's the concern for me because that takes time. Tactical tweaks you can change on the training ground in the space of a week. I think a mentality that's not shifted all season. It was the same at Oxford on opening day, and it was the same at Plymouth last week.
I agree.
And that's the concern for me.
I agree, and it simply has to change this summer.
Do you think you can change that over the course of a summer?
Yeah.
You do?
By selling enough players and signing enough players. Look, it's blind faith, it's blind hope, it's blind optimism. I'm trying to be the best supporter I can. But I need some help from the club. I need some help from the players and the execs. Like we're going to have to do a lot of work. Ben Napper is going to be a busy boy.
Mark so seriously still believe this is all a mentality problem. Minute 75, corner,
he's
death
right.
ball in the box, and everyone watching, nobody attacking the ball. We're a team with a really soft mentality from the past 4 years. Don't know who to blame. Is it the players or the coaching staff?
Well, again, it goes back to. I think it is both. I think everyone should take accountability and responsibility for how this season has unravelled, panned out, and ground to a halt. I know for a fact the mentality is not good enough, and I say that with my chest out. It is such a crying shame that a club of this size and stature has got to the position that it has, where the mentality is where it is. But it's the reality of our situation, and it is over to Ben Napper and the owners too. To sort this out over the summer. And Johannes, he's got to instill a new mentality in a summer. He's got no choice.
And it's weird, like, it shouldn't be that way. Like, for most of this season, we've been within touching distance of the playoffs. Yeah. The mentality should be, come on, lads, like, we've got a chance here. We've got a real opportunity.
I don't believe
that's been awful.
Yes, it is.
And we've got a chance.
It's painfully average. And next season, it's not going to be awful. It's not going to be painfully average. Next season is going to be so much more difficult. It's going to be so much more difficult. And we all know why I'm saying that with who that's coming down from upstairs, right? So, look, very difficult one.
I like this from FPL Oakley, and I agree with him. He says Sargent is class not only in terms of his ability, but the way he carries himself. Clearly too good from us at this stage. The way he acts, you wouldn't think it. We'll miss the guy when he inevitably goes, but let's all focus on enjoying the final 6 games we have with him. Spot on, Oakley.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I think, you know what? That's the reason why he has done well and will continue to do well. His mentality has been brilliant, even when it was a real struggle, and it was quite abusive at the start with him. And look, I'll own up. Like my criticism of him was probably slightly overboard, but at the time we'd signed him in the Premier League and he was miles off it. But he's just carried himself really well.
Yeah.
Head high.
Yes.
Clearly a belief in what he does. Yeah, role model professional.
For me, it's in the territory now of he goes with my absolute blessing.
Yeah.
The fact that we've even managed to keep him this summer is quite impressive, really, to be honest with you. And I actually do feel that it's only because of the price tag that we did manage to keep him.
It saddens me, Chris, because
I know
we shouldn't be in a position where we are going. He's way too good for us, which he is.
But like with every seat, and people won't like me saying this, but this is also the unsexy truth and the painful truth is we'll get new heroes. We'll get new heroes. And look, we've been in worse times than this. We have been in worse times than this. So I think we do all need to get a bit of perspective as well.
Roro, rant. I'm tired of Thorup saying the same thing after every single game. Nothing is changing. We see bottom table clubs go in with the mentality that we don't have to do too much. We've seen glimpses of what we can do, but we aren't doing that. We rely on opposition making mistakes. I think spot on. Plymouth didn't have to do much at all. They relied on us making mistakes. They took their chances and actually didn't have to do much defensively.
Bizarre. We had 75% possession. Bizarre.
Those goals, just a complete shambles. You go back to Bristol City. You concede one and then they just don't fucking concede again. Lock up for 10 minutes. Lock up for 10 minutes.
And then the really weird one, Jack, as well is, the classic starter pack, the thing you learn as a kid, right? If in doubt, kick it out. We all learnt that. Under 14 standard. If in doubt, kick it out. However, the issue with that is that now when we kick it out for a throw-in, we concede a bloody goal. Because we're weak from throw-ins.
I mean, the goals were absolute
for God's sake,
shambles.
for God's sake, what's that all about? I mean, that's just basic. Look, we can get around circles. Jack, I'm very aware of time and the fact that we're going around circles. I
want to do a few more because there's loads of questions here. Richard Stocks says,
I want to be put out of my misery.
Richard Stocks says, I didn't think there was a beach in Plymouth, so fair play to the lads for finding one. We can debate team selection and tactics all we want, but most disturbing and disappointing is the lack of application and fight. Pathetic, shameful, and embarrassing.
Yes.
Tis season over.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Lee Jones, the same questions a few weeks ago. Is Johannes Oftrup the only head coach who has credit in the bank for what he has said and what he's going to do rather than actually delivering?
There have been times where he has delivered on the style of football that he's wanted to play this season. So I don't think it's completely in that direction, but I understand the opinion.
Fudge for brains, and I think this will get you livened up. Chris, it's a statement. I think it's a good thing that Science goes this summer. He was good for first half of the season, but now everyone knows he'll check inside and just gets double teamed and has become irrelevant. The only time he went on his left in the second half, he made a good cross, but he doesn't do it enough. One trick pony.
I respectfully disagree. I think when you're willingly wanting the Championship's top goal scorer to go, I think that's really concerning. Actually, I think it's really concerning. I understand the fact that there was a load of really ridiculous, amazing form, and I get the fact that the suspension happened, and then after that struggled to maybe get going to those previous levels. We're talking about an exceptionally gifted footballer here, right? And, all good teams have a player like Borja. They have a player that has an edge. That, there could be a discipline issue. There could be, an edge to him. There could be a moment of madness. But in those big occasions, there have been times this season where he's been so far out and he's just taken a shot, the audacity, and it's gone top bins, right? So he's a brilliant player. I think, though, like many of our players, he's fallen victim to the mood, the feeling, the regression. And hey, there's only so much the attacking players can do with the shit show that's going on at the back, right? So, we've not had... I don't think the forwards are something that should be under massive scrutiny. I don't, because we have been one of the best, most successful high-scoring teams in the league this season. And yes, of course, there's been times where, they should have taken a chance. That always happens. They're the least of our worries. The big problem for Norwich City this season has been our defence and has been our midfield. It's been way too easy to go through, okay? But our forwards, that includes Borja, least of your worries.
Yeah, it's weird how we've got in a position with Borja, how multiple screamers this season, Championship top scorer. I think Norwich are a better team with him in the side. Well, we've got to the stage of I don't mind if he goes. How has that happened?
But and even the goal even the goal at the weekend, guys, right? He's picked up the ball on his side, and he's drifted through, not through. Hang on, I'll change the word. He's drifted inwards, and he's dragged not one, not two, but three players out of position. He then feeds it to Kellen, which opens up the space for Sargent to score. And I know it's a brilliant goal, right? But you have to remember, it did actually start with that spark of movement and brilliance from Borja, right? I don't think Borja's anywhere near our biggest problem, and I think we'll miss him when he goes.
What do you think the mood's going to be like Tuesday against Sunderland?
Because I think it's going to get toxic. I think it's going to get toxic.
Let's stick back to West Brom, because all the questions were... if we hadn't have scored that, Norwich get booed off.
Yeah.
And since that point, we've lost to Plymouth.
I don't want to feed it, but it is the truth. I do fear that it's going to get toxic. Because the only way we get something out of that game is by Johannes resorting to his West Brom tactics. That's the only way. And in the Barclay, people were singing old songs because they were bored. We were talking about life as well as watching the game in front of us. We were talking about why does the Holiday Inn always put the bins out in the middle of the game. We were talking about the fact that the screen is leaking. We were talking about all of these things, right? We were pointing out, silly plonkers in the away end. Sunderland are going to do a job on us. I hope they don't, and I hope I'm wrong. But I do fear the worst.
Are you concerned?
Yeah, I am. I can't hide it. Massively. I think for all of the reasons that I've said already around the players that are on the beach, the players that where their road is run, the players that think they're better, and the players that know they will be sold this summer.
I'm at that point now in the season where I just want it done because I don't think there's any.
How sad is that though, at this stage of the season with how many games have we got left?
I think there's 8. Or no, it's maybe like 6.
Jeez,
I think
that's worrying.
I don't think there's any good to come from the rest from now on. Like you win a couple of games, great. What does that change? But there's so much damage that can be done.
Well,
from this stage
I agree. But
I just want to get to the summer.
The only flip
what they can do.
The only flip I'd say of that is, no. What I would like to see is I'd love to see Johannes give minutes to all of the players that definitely will be here next season. The young player, Oscar Schwartau, yes. Jacob Wright, hopefully, yes. Rory McConville.
Yeah.
That's an absolute no-brainer, right? He has to start every game for next season. So that's what I'm doing, and I think that is something to be excited about. But of course, we're not in Johannes' position. We can't make those decisions. Hashtag on the beach city. Get it on social media if you've watched this podcast. Don't forget to get 20% off your Lakens. And hey, I'll say something.
I'm gonna quickly stick it in. I think most people know because we've got thousands of people on it. But we do a weekly email newsletter in partnership with Lakens. There's behind the scenes. There's exclusive codes. I'll put the link down in the description. We're also doing a giveaway on there, but you have to be a member of that email community. So I'll put the link down. Join the email community. We send that one a week. Behind the scenes on TNC. There's loads of fun stuff.
And I'll finish the podcast on a different note.
Oh, go on then.
I'll say it. I won't say any more. There's something to be excited about coming soon on Talk Norwich City.
The season's finishing?
Well, I say soon, soonish. Bear with us. But something
We're renewing
exciting
Sargent's contract?
is coming. No. Thanks for watching the Talk Norwich City podcast.
Take care. Enjoy yourselves at Carrow on Tuesday night. Don't do anything silly. And we will be back next week for another episode of the TNC Podcast.